every chance I get to do one of those roles, I feel like I grow and I become more confident as an actor.
Marco Torres, thank you so much for spending time with us here on So Janelle.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I've seen that you've done a role with Princess Punzalan, who's one of our
Yes.
favorites here on the show as
Wow.
well. You do commercials, you
Yes.
have done movies and TV, and you also still do a little bit, and you also actually started as a background actor.
Correct.
Tell me about this acting thing. Was it something that you grew up wanting to be?
I had a lot of friends who've always wanted to be actors, and eventually they pursued it, and some of them are still actors now. Like R.S. Francisco, who did M. Butterfly in the Philippines. Randem was my classmate from high school as well. But I was that one person who never ever thought of being an actor. Why? Because most of my friends were better actors than I am. I never thought of being an actor. I did like to be a model, so I did a few, very few commercials in the Philippines.
Where does acting fit? And when did you realize, oh, I can give this a try?
I took architecture, but in the end, my career went into marketing. My green card for the US got approved. I had no intentions of coming here. But since it was approved, I said, might as well find out. So I have no regrets in the future. And then when I moved here, basically, first it was a struggle, to find work related to marketing.
Right.
And then, so I practiced interior design here while I was here. And I was getting clients and all that as well. So that was exciting. But the pandemic came. And when the pandemic came, I didn't want to enter anyone's homes anymore because, of course, it's not safe, right? So last year, January 2021, as pandemic was still at peak, I was browsing through the computer, and then I find a search for Japanese-looking Asians for a project called Haiku 87. With whatever selfie I had, I submitted. And then it said, oh, we're booking you, so we're asking you to hold. And then these are the schedules for COVID tests and for fittings. And, they were all paid, right? It's like, for Haiku 87 in particular, it was very generous. They were paying $100 for fitting, $100 for a COVID test. So every time I went, I was paid $100. And it was like 2 COVID tests before your fitting, another 2 COVID tests before being on set. So I did all that. I was excited to do Haiku 87, to be on a movie set for the first time. As I got there, I think a production assistant announces, hey guys, I'm sure by now you've all heard who our star is. So please do not talk to him unless he talks to you, and do not stare. And then everyone after that was talking, who's the star? And then apparently it's Brad Pitt.
Wow.
And the movie was not Haiku 87, it was a disguise for Bullet Train,
yes,
aka Bullet Train.
Yes.
So it's like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Right.
It's like you live in Hollywood, you go to Hollywood tours in the hope of bumping into an actor.
Yes.
So they tell you, oh, you joined the tour, you might see someone in her lawn in Beverly Hills. But that never happens. We all know that never happens. So for me to be on set with Brad Pitt was...
And that's your first.
My first ever.
Yes.
And in some scenes there, in the end, you don't see it in the movie, but I was like 3 feet away from him, to the point that, like before we were waiting for the take, it's like he was on his phone the whole time, and I was placed so near him. If I stretch my arm, actually, I could hold him.
Wow.
And a few occasions, I accidentally I looked at him eye to eye, and he's actually nice. He acknowledges.
Yes.
I think he's one of the coolest guys on set.
Right.
So that was the first ever.
Okay.
But days after that, they booked me again, and when they booked me, it was for a very specific role on SAG union vouchers, because I think it was a featured role, and that was to be paramedic at the very last scene of the movie. Mm-hmm. So I booked that. When we booked it, it was a long scene. I was like really inspecting the place, after the train wreck, and after Brad Pitt kills all the other assassins. So there were 2 of us. We walked right from the camera and then inspect, you call the phone, etc. But in the end, it's all I saw was my back running. They cut the scene really short because that was when Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock was walking towards the sunset.
Okay.
Final scene. But wow, the experience, and that alone gave me 3 SAG vouchers, which made me eligible for that very first project already made me eligible for SAG, for union.
Wow.
So that was amazing,
Right.
unforgettable.
Right.
And since then, a month after, I also booked another 30-day booking as neighbor to Kristen Bell, the
Kristen
woman
Bell,
in
yeah.
the house,
Yes.
across the girl from the window. I think I wanna keep doing this. For me, coming into acting, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I have nothing to lose because I'm nobody.
Right. So
I
you
mean,
were willing
in
to
terms
start
of-
from the bottom.
correct.
You were willing to start as a background
I was
actor.
willing to do background.
Right.
The only way for a nobody, for someone with no experience to get on those sets is, one, luck. You need to have a good look they want. And then two, you'll need to be chosen.
Right.
For every background work, for example, when I did The Woman in the House, 6 weeks. And then whether they needed us or not,
You had to be there. Do you also think that you're in at the right time?
since I started, the one thing I noticed was really the diversity. There's so much opportunities now for diversity.
Right.
And then I think one advantage I have is, now that it's open to Asians, when it comes to my age range, I don't think there's a lot.
There's roles, but there's not a lot of people
Correct.
who audition for it.
Correct. One thing that also works for me is, I'm kinda ambiguous into what kind of Asian I am. In fact, even on my first day in Jollibee Food Group, one
Right.
colleague who was, of course, you don't ask anymore where you're from, asked me, Marco, what languages do you speak?
Right. Right.
So it's a way of asking really where a person's
Ethnicity,
from, right?
yes. You mentioned the Jollibee Food Group because you are in marketing there. What's keeping you there? What's keeping you from following this path of acting full time?
When I first started acting, I was doing it full time. I started January, but August, the Jollibee Food Group called me as brand manager of Red Ribbon, which is what I do now. At first, I wanted to ignore it already because I was really enjoying what I was doing.
Right.
So I just wanted, to get solid experience as well in corporate and get back to corporate first. Eventually, try and manage to do both.
Right. Which
So-
you are doing now.
Correct.
So now, how do you graduate from background acting to in front of the camera, speaking lines, principal characters?
At one point, you get so desperate. I just want anything principal. So I started doing, the Darman style. They're like quick films they do in an afternoon or a day, and then
okay.
it's just about 10 minutes, and it's in YouTube, and then it gets 1 million views. And then eventually, I just got more and more work, short films, student films, and now because that's my focus, whether it's paid or not paid, I still like doing them.
I like that what you're espousing is the value of humility as well. Because we interviewed Laureen as well, which is similar to what she said. You have to be humble to start from the bottom if it has to be the bottom. And now you're growing.
And I like supporting students. Come on, these are the future filmmakers.
Right.
It's New York Film Academy, USC. So you build your contacts right that way. And then I try to be on set with acting roles now, this time, really acting roles where I have dialogue, really. So I could practice my craft. Because in Hollywood, it's taken so seriously. The reason why when we watch Hollywood films, we're taken to another world is because the acting is so good that everything's authentic. Nothing feels fake about it.
So to wrap this up, where do you want to take this?
Basically, I want to keep growing. Actually, the toughest part about acting for me is here in Hollywood is being subtle. Subtle is a word now that they use in all breakdowns. Especially, I think I find it hard for me because Filipinos are naturally not grounded,
subtle.
not subtle. Yeah, right. We speak very emphatically. So now I'm trying to learn to be subtle.
Right.
So it's more real when it's your turn. Hi, I'm Marco Torres. I'm 5'11", I'm based in LA, as opposed to, hi, I'm Marco Torres, 5'11", based in LA.
Right. And
So-
some people still haven't gotten that. Some people are just still, you think acting is just over emphatic and almost theatrical.
Now directors, when they say action, you're supposed to they'll do 1 or 2 takes. It's not like they'll keep taking until you get it.
Right.
And there's no rehearsal. That's why they
Right.
already book really good actors. You're expected to deliver. That's why you need to be fully committed in learning and getting better.
I love
And that's why you need to gain as much experience as you can.
So it's almost like some people acting is a job, but what you're saying is you have to imbibe it so much that acting is your life.
Correct.
Right.
It's something you have to learn and study for.
Right. Well, thank you so much. We'll end on that note. Good luck on your journey and more power to you.
Thank you.